Thanks for joining. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and our guests and friends are the folks from Animal Services, Miami-Dade County. Thank you for being here. First, we have Sweet Pea right here.
The
Hey,
VIP,
Sweet Pea,
yes, Sweet
the
Pea.
star of the show, and also Flora, Beal, and Traceley, Bootle.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready to rock and roll. So July is a special month for animals. So tell us about that.
So July is Lost Pet Prevention Month, and we're going to have a lot of groups that are out there just trying to create awareness about the things that you can do to prevent having your pet be lost. It's across the country. You have all these organizations that deal in rescue and everything. And what they see is that July 5th is the highest day of the year for arrivals into shelters. Guess why?
Because they got scared and they ran out the doors.
July 4th. So we're out there having a blast. We're out there, woo, with our flags and our firecrackers and everything else. And meanwhile, they're hiding under the bed or they're hiding in a bush. And the minute that a sparkler goes off or a firecracker goes off, boom, bang, and they're off, running, trying to hide or seek cover. So it's really stressful for many of our pets. Some of our pets, not so much, but for a lot of them, it actually creates a lot of anxiety and it's really stressful.
And
for them.
sometimes it's 10 hours long. I mean, as soon as the sun goes down until
Are you kidding me?
sun
They started
almost
last weekend. They started in my neighborhood already. There was fireworks. I was like, guys, it's still a week away.
And Tracy, so tell us about some of the changes that are happening to try to protect our pets from getting lost.
So we encourage the pet owners to have their pets microchipped in addition to registering that pet. They may have the registration tag. However, if the pet is microchipped, the chances of reuniting that pet with the owner is extremely high.
So there's some folks that think that if they just do a collar with when we're going to talk about the new tag, or it's a couple of years old, it's enough. It's not, because sometimes that dog gets out of that collar.
Yeah, so you can never trust just one method of ensuring that your pet is going to be safe and be safely reunited with you. So back in 2017, we actually started using a new tag. So when you come in and you get your rabies shot and you get your license tag from Animal Services, which Sweet Pea is sporting here, right? Sweet Pea, there you go. It's got our logo, and then if you want to put up the picture of Sweet Pea with the tag, it actually, they can see it a little bit better, but it's got a QR code on the back. And when you register your information on the website for this, it actually logs everything. And somebody can just come up, take a picture of that QR code.
There's Sweet Pea right there.
There's Sweet Pea right there with the tag. And that QR code will actually pull up all the information. Just like when you go to a restaurant and you sit down and they give you the QR code for the menu. It'll pull up the owner's information right there and then on the spot, so that the individual's pets can be returned to them really quickly. But collars fall off, right? Sometimes you bathe them, put them outside to dry off, and they dig out from the yard. Or, I mean, you just never know what could happen. And so it's always a good thing as a backup to make sure that your pets are microchipped, and all pets that are adopted from the Pet Adoption and Protection Center are microchipped.
So Tracy, so years ago, the QR codes were popular. Then it went away. Why is it that what is happening? I see the county started doing this at this point 4.5 years ago. What's happening that this type of technology is coming back?
Well, the technology is great because it helps a pet owner to reunite themselves with their pet faster. Once it's registered on the website, they can either scan the code and at a vet office, and they can easily be reunited, as well as if the pet is microchipped, they can also find the pet faster, because if the pet was returned to maybe a pet store, a vet office.
So if somebody could, if there's a pet that's lost and it comes over, and you could scan that guy, and and you could go right into the website. It's going to open it up, and then, oh, that's the dog down the street.
Yeah, it just pulls up the owner's information, like it pulls up a menu at the restaurants, and I think that's why it's coming back again. The QR codes, it's because they were looking for something at the restaurants and at different organizations, different places for touchless menus and touchless, right, with COVID-19.
Yes.
So I think it's coming back for that reason. But for us, it's just always been a really helpful tool to make sure that pets get reunited with their owners.
Yeah. And it seems to save a couple steps in there.
Yeah.
Instead of calling, I remember calling, hey, I found this dog, and this is the tag number. Hold on, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is instant.
Right. So that's why we always say, yes, microchip your pets just in case they don't have their collar on. But your first defense, your first option is, just have their collar on with their ID and their tag.
So let's talk about folks that let their dogs go away. What is that like for you when you hear there's some dogs running around? I won't say Homestead, but down in Homestead, all right? And somebody calls, say, hey, there's a pack of dogs down here. What's it feel like when you know that some homeowner just gave up on them?
Well, for us in the pet adoption center, it really bothers us when we hear dogs are just roaming. But the great part about it is we do have officers in the field. If the dogs are found roaming, they would bring them into the shelter if there is no tag attached to the dog, where they can scan it in the field to attempt to reunite with the pet owner.
So when there's the dog, what do we call them? The person that's the animal
welfare
officer is out there. So if there's a little doggy like this, he can scan it and say, hey, neighbor, we have your dog over here on this corner.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that, especially when you're talking about the Redlands and down by Homestead, past Chrome, there's a lot of farmland out there. And there are a lot of farm owners who do have dogs that do roam freely on their property. Again, a good reason to have microchips, because then when our animal welfare officer does get a call from a concerned resident who doesn't know whether it's an owned pet or a pet that has been abandoned, then the animal welfare officer can easily scan for the microchip and realize, oh no, this pet is on its property, or is, let me take them to the home if it has somehow gotten off the property, right?
So, yes. So inquiring minds do want to know if somebody's registered the dog, all right, and there's a change, they moved or whatever it is. How simple is it for them to change that?
Oh my goodness, just go to the website.
Yes, to Pet Hub, and they can update their contact information there, whether it's someone related to them, whether it's their veterinary office. They can just update the information on pethub.com.
I might have shared this with you before. I live in horse country, and not so many animals, wild animals or loose animals before. But one day, this dog just shows up at the front door, and he's sort of has some pit bull in the middle of it. And he's sitting there wagging his big tail. Okay, all right. So I feed him. All right, he sits on the patio. Of course, why not?
Yeah,
right?
Why not?
Give him water. I'm petting him, and I'm going, all right. I can't keep him. All right. So he doesn't go away. I'm the sucker. I keep feeding him. So, of course, he stays. And then a couple days later, he sees me leave in the car, and he chases me.
Uh-huh. Right, right.
Like me or myself. Come back.
Mhm.
Don't take all anything off. Like doing new stuff for Mona. Like
Right.
but don't communicate.
So the white one is up there.
Come to
Goes
me
to the
like a week or two after
Plug
she
two into
got
there.
to say, oh, I'm on vacation starting tomorrow. Not even comes in and tells me. Basically, we're trying to get something approved. Right. And we're on the phone. And she tells me, oh, I start vacation tomorrow. So just go there.
No,
Georgina
that's a
for the approval.
no, that's a. Oh, by the way, Beal, that's our vacation. You're going to be on your own. That's what that was.
Yeah, but I don't,
So I was like,
much.
Inconsiderate.
took it off
Oh my
the main
God.
one that's big,
for the
going off.
Oh,
when
oh,
we were
wow,
doing
wow,
the
We just need to plug that
press
in.
conference for the round robin.
Okay.
She got done telling me, go through the checklist.
Let's see what
go through
happens
the
there.
checklist. I kept telling her, send me the checklist. Send me the checklist. It's not in gig pics.
Right.
I don't know why you always
If you
say
send it to me, I can go
personal
through.
computer when we have a shared folder. Send me this. Send me the checklist. Day before, I told her, oh, I can't find it.
All
So
right,
what we're gonna
All right, we're gonna try again.
we're still on.
Oh, we're still on.
Oh, we're still on.
Right now?
There's no change. Yeah, you just keep rolling.
We're just gonna keep
We're not
rolling.
gonna-
Okay, we're just gonna keep rolling. We're
There you
on.
go.
Okay, so we have this dog. He comes to my house. We
Yes.
feed him. We
Yes.
water him. I leave one day. He chases after me. I felt terrible. I had this picture of this dog all over social media, going like crazy. I said, all right, what am I gonna do? I said, let me just walk down the street, see if the dog follows me. He follows me. As soon as I get to the house next door, he goes home.
Oh,
He came over for a visit.
He
Right?
came over because you were feeding him an extra
Right.
meal a day. He was coming
Yes.
over for that extra. Sweetie
So-
would do that.
So we just never know where these dogs are. They could be right next door or down the
Mhm.
street or lost for a while. So typically, are dogs able to survive for a certain amount of time outside, a week, a month, 2 months, or do they just adapt to that if somebody is mean enough to let them loose?
So it's a more complicated conversation, I think, right? We tend to think more of cats as being able to be, wild and in the community and being able to fend for themselves, whereas we tend to think of dogs as being more domesticated, because they tend to be more cared for and rely more on their owners for their care. So that's how we tend to think about it. That's not to say that a dog couldn't survive for a
Mhm.
long period of time on the streets, right? It's just not ideal for them to be out there, right? That's not where we want them. And there's all these opportunities for them to be injured, become malnourished, die of malnourishment, starvation, etc. So it just depends on the individual dog and the area that they're in.
On the other hand, cats survive quite well.
yes.
Yeah, so cats are considered to be, wild. I mean, our community cats, feral cats, are out there, thriving in their colonies. So yeah, they're considered to be.
We have one outside cat,
Mhm.
and when the community cats come to the property, we watch them. They walk right up against the house, so it's really hard to see them. Right, and so when they try to get to the food, so they come from the neighbor's house. There's a little path that they now have, and so in the morning I try to find them, but I know that they're there. And one of the myths that a lot of people have is that cats and dogs don't get along, but that's not the case. Many do.
Oh my goodness, he loves cats. This little one. We have a kitten that we're fostering right now, and he's just in love with him. And we have some kittens that need fostering at the shelter right now. So if there's any volunteers, fosters, if anybody's interested in fostering, it's a 2-week fostering duty that we have for some cats and kittens that are going to be going up north. They're actually eating on their own right now, so it's very minimal care. But we're going to have some more cats that are coming in with him and my Rottweiler, who lives in my house as well, and they love the cats.
So, and if we could move on, the concept of digital tags for pets. Imagine if 10 years ago, you went to sleep and you woke up, oh, your dog tag is going to be digital.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. All right. Do people put GPSs on their animals?
They actually do. It's a
Uh-huh.
little bit different from a microchip, so we don't want to confuse the
Right.
two things. But yeah, there are people who will actually put GPSs on their pets, and when their pet gets out, if they get lost, they can actually track it and go exactly to the corner of the street that they're on.
Much like the wife does with the husband.
Exactly.
It's- and
Exactly. Or
and
how you do with your kids.
38 years it's been working. Right? All right. So how about if somebody loses their pet? All right. They don't know where they are. And let's say they're chipped and they have a tag. All right. Come July 5th or 4th. All right. The dog runs out the door, gets frantic after massive anxiety in the house, right? Runs away. And so now he's 4 blocks over and wandering. What should a homeowner do at that point?
Well,
Or
there's a
dog
couple
owner?
of things that they can do. They can check Pet Harbor to see if perhaps the dog was already turned
What is
in.
it? Pet Harbor.
Petharbor.com
Okay.
to see if the dog was already turned into the pet adoption center in Doral. If it was returned in, we would scan it, we would upload a picture to that website, as well as they can also come into the pet adoption center in Doral, give us a picture of the pet in the event it hasn't made it into the shelter yet. And we would go ahead and upload the picture to petharbor.com. And we would also place the picture on our missing pet bulletin board.
So folks need to do a couple things. One, microchip the dogs, have a tag, and then photos of the dog.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And maybe even some still ones that's the dog in full, all right? So that when the dog is missing, you don't get the whole family and they're hugging and covering up the dog. Have it in case
Both.
the dog, both. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and lots of folks still have or some folks have this misconception about the animal services and how well you take care of animals. So why don't you tell us the success rate, if you would, of taking care of our dogs and cats?
So yeah, we receive about 30,000 dogs and cats every single year, and a lot of them will go, for example, home because they were reunified, because we were able to identify who their owner was through the great work that they do in the Lost and Found office. Because if your pet is microchipped, then we will go out of our way to make sure that we're able to contact the information, which is why it's so important to make sure that your information is up to date, right? Because if we're trying to call you at a number that's been out of service for 5 years, we're not going to be able to get a hold of you, you know? And so they do that proactive effort to make sure that they try and find that pet. Now, if there's no microchip, there's no identification, there's no way of identifying who the owner of that pet is, we still do have a hold period. Within which the owner has the opportunity to come in and, you know, go through the center or identify the pet through the Pet Harbor photo that we're able to upload, and claim their pet and take them back home. So that's also something that can be done. And then for those pets that we are not able to find after that 3-day hold period, we're able to get them spayed or neutered, and go ahead and put them on the adoption floor to try and find them a new home. Now, an adoptable pet will actually stay on that floor for as long as it takes to find them a new family member. I remember when I first started there was a pet there that had been there for almost an entire year. You know, that's a long time for a pet to be in a kennel environment, waiting for their forever family. And I think we almost threw a party the day that we found them the new home. And just like that, there's pets that have been there for 4 months, 6 months, 3 months. Doesn't matter how long it takes. If the pet is healthy and can be rehomed, we will rehome them.
So let's say it's a person that doesn't drive anymore, and they said, "Hey, listen, we have your pet. All right, we found the pet. What does the pet owner need to do so they can send somebody to pick up their pet?"
So they can send us an email authorizing the person that they're sending to pick up the pet. They would also need to provide us with a copy of their driver's license in the email, name the person that's coming to pick up the pet, and if they have vaccination certificate for the pet, also send that in. Now, it's important to know that if the pet hasn't been vaccinated, we're going to give the pet the vaccines. If it's not registered, we're also going to register the pet. We're going to microchip the pet, all of that.
That's wonderful. So let's say the dog owner says, "Oh, you know, years ago, I gave my dog the rabies and I had all this stuff." And you find them and say, "Listen, we're going to give all the shots." What is the financial responsibility of the pet owner at that point?
So there are fees that are involved. There's also low cost fee if that person receives any sort of low cost benefits and they can give us proof of that, then they would receive the discounted fee. But Otherwise, there's standard fees that applies.
Okay. So I know dogs get rabies and people can get rabies, but tell us about the rabies shots and all of this. When we say shots, is that one of the shots?
So yeah, your pet is required to have their rabies shot current. So if your pet comes in and you don't have, so that's one of the things that you need to bring when you come to pick up your pet is the medical records that show that he's current on his rabies shots. Because if your pet is not current, then we're going to have to, give that.
You're doing that. You're
shot.
doing that because this pet needs that to have that.
Right. I
Yes.
mean, they're required to have it.
Yep.
And it's also in their, for their health, for their safety.
Yes.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And if you're picking up your pet, you didn't have a current rabies shot. Well, you're going to get charged I think it's like $15 for the 1 year shot. And so that is something. If you weren't current on your license, well, Miami-Dade County does require that you have your dog's license, which means that we're going to charge you for the licensing fee to make sure that pet is up to date and current with all of his requirements.
So one of the great things that happens if the county finds your dog, you're going to take care of that dog. And
We
you're
are.
Yes.
do.
And a lot of people are still afraid, there's going to go down there, and they're thinking about 25 years ago, and it was terrible. And I remember going there and maybe all longer than that, completely freaking out. All right.
Yeah.
But nowadays, and in the last half a dozen years, it's completely on the other side of that, where you go out of your way to make sure that these animals live a good life.
Well, we're not animal control anymore. We're animal services.
But we do have mosquito control. All
We do
right.
have mosquito control. But we're
Dr.
animal
Petrie.
services, which means that, when a pet comes into our facility, it's not just about, the checking for the microchip and everything else. It's also about, doing a welfare check for that pet. Each pet that comes into our center gets a welfare check. And if there's any medical needs that we can care for at the shelter, we're able to go ahead and take care of that there. And if not, then we seek help and assistance from our outside partners to see if there's somebody that can care for the special medical needs that come in every once in a while.
So how often do you find it? You pet comes in, and then oh,
Oops, we're good. Go.
we're good.
Go.
Okay, the pet comes in, and then the dog pet owner calls up and say, "I'm missing my pet." What's it like when you say, "Well, we have your pet here"? You hear them?
Oh,
We
my
hear rejoicing.
goodness. Yeah, I
We
think
hear rejoicing. We see crying. We see rolling on the floor.
That's wonderful.
It's just them being reunited.
One
with
of the things that I think that we all need to do is acknowledge the role of pets and humans in our family units and what they mean. All right.
Mhm.
My wife says to me, "Michael, I feed the cat every morning and night." I said, "Are you sure?" And Michael, I'm telling you, I said, I don't believe you. All right. So we're arguing over who gets the opportunity to feed the cat.
who gets to feed?
And cats and dogs are pretty smart, as you know. They'll sit there and they'll wait to be fed the second time and the third time.
Mhm.
Hey, Sweet Pea, does he want to go for a little walk?
Yes, I think he does want to get
Okay.
there. There you go.
I think we have do we have a video?
We actually do. A lot of times people ask us, what's the process? They're afraid that, what is the actual microchip when you get
Yep.
your pet microchipped and does it hurt them?
Mhm.
So I think we're actually going to join Susie, who is going to show us exactly what that microchipping process is and how easy and simple and relatively pain-free it is. It's just like getting a vaccine or a little shot.
Hi, my name is Susan Marizita. I'm the clinic administrator for Miami-Dade Animal Services. We will show you how the microchipping is implanted and explain a little bit about registering. If for any reason your pet is not wearing a tag, microchipping is the best backup to make sure that we can quickly reunite you with your pet. Here is the microchip, and here is the barcode with the ID number that's attached to the microchip. Here in this card, which comes with every microchip, you can find the website information to register your contact information. And with this, we scan your pet. So here is the microchip that we are going to implant. It is a quick and easy process. It is a little pinch that goes in between the shoulder blades, and it's nice and quick. And the scanner will pick up the microchip. Here at Miami-Dade Animal Services, we provide low-cost microchipping, or you can visit your local vet.
She's fine.
Wow, that was Well
Quick,
done, fast,
quick,
right?
easy, simple. The only reason that we put the muzzle on the dog is just in case he, does feel the little pinch and decides to nip it back. But other than that, I mean, like it's a little pinch for the pet,
And
and it's the size of like a grain of rice.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And in that is stored all the pertinent information.
Yes.
Scary.
I wonder what took us so long, to do that. Hey, Sweet Pea. So let's talk about the July 4th. Today's the 1st. Is today the 1st?
Yeah, today's the
Second,
second.
third.
Second.
Yeah.
So anyway, in a couple
days.
days, all right, people are going to be doing a lot of fireworks.
Yes.
What do people need to do for their pets so they don't like freak out and or run away?
So do you want to go ahead?
It's important that they try and secure their pets. And some of the things that they should do is make sure that they feed their pets early on before the fireworks start. Keep their pets near them. Ensure that they're microchipped in the event they do get away, that they can be reunited rather sooner than later. And just keep the pet with them.
So this is not lock the dog or pet into a room by themselves, or is it?
Well, it depends on what your situation is. If you're going to have that door opening and closing often, you're going to have people coming in and out of the home to see the fireworks outside, then it might be the best idea to put them in a bedroom where they're comfortable, put their bed in there. It's not lock them up in a little closet, but, put them in a secure location in your home so that they're not able to run out of your home. And it's important. Yes, microchip, but make sure that their collars and their IDs are on and that information is up to date. And you do want to make sure that you bring them inside if you can, because being outside is just going to make it that much more stressful for them.
And if somebody says, "No, I want my dog to go outside with me," all right, should they have a leash on the dog?
Always have a leash on your
Always.
dog when you're
You
outside.
hear that? Always have a leash on
So
your dog.
it is per Miami-Dade County Code. You must have your pet on a leash. It doesn't matter if it's a service dog. It doesn't matter if it's very well trained. It doesn't matter what breed it is, how big it is. Your dog is always supposed to be on a leash unless it is an authorized and specified location that is dedicated for that purpose, like dog parks.
And people need to be in
enclosed.
control of their animals.
And you have to be
Yes.
holding your leash. I mean, there's no point in having the leash on them if you're not holding the leash. Especially during fireworks and stuff like that. Anything could startle your pet, and you don't know what their reaction is going to be. So you want to make sure that you do have control of them. And then you want to make sure, like she said, you feed them and walk them before the fireworks begin, right? Because you want them to be able to get settled, and bring your pets inside during the fireworks. And then the morning after, a lot of people forget about the morning after. You also need to go in your yard or the areas that your pet goes into and make sure that you pick up any debris or any leftovers from the fireworks, because that could also be hazardous to them. And we want to make sure that our yards are clean and free of anything that might harm them.
And we don't want them sniffing and chewing that stuff.
Yeah, that's not good.
And my hat's off to you folks at the Animal Services. It's really a tribute to the passion that you have in keeping our furry friends healthy. So my congratulations to you. And if I hadn't been married to my wife for so long, we would have Noah's Ark in the backyard, all right, with plenty of the dogs and cats. So here we are, the middle of the year, all right. Holidays are coming up. I think that's how a lot of us do that. So let's look for the next 6 months. What does it look like for activities for Animal Services that the public can know about?
So we are ramping up now that that a lot of the COVID restrictions have been brought back. We are ramping up our public community, offsite community adoption events. One of those events is held every first Saturday of the month at the Underline over by, the Brickell station. There's a beautiful stage there, which is sponsored by FPL. And we go out there to provide welfare information for pets, and also to provide opportunities for our pets to go out into our community and possibly meet their forever family in the community. So we bring them to you so that you can have that opportunity. So we do welcome everybody to come in this Saturday, tomorrow. Sweet Pea's going to be there dressed to the T. He is going to be showing his patriotic spirit. So is Luna, if you want to meet Luna. So come on out and meet us out there and bring your pets. It is a pet-friendly, family-friendly environment. And dress them up for July 4th. You never know.
And Tracy, people want to know if Sweet Pea is available for adoption.
Sweet Pea has a loving home. As you can tell, Sweet Pea's owner, you're speaking
Yeah,
with her. She
No,
will
sorry, guys.
not
Sorry,
go up for
guys.
adoption. Sorry.
No,
So-
Sweet Pea was actually a pet that we were using. I was fostering him because we were doing some media availability for, I believe it was the Mega Matchathon. We had some heat opportunities, you know, to go to the arena, and so I had to pick a pet that would be easy to carry. And mind you, I love big mutts, guys. Like, I'm a big dog girl. I do not tend to prefer. My preference is not towards smaller dogs, and so I had him in my house for like 2 weeks to do all these promo opportunities.
Done deal.
It was a done deal.
Sold.
He won me over, and he never saw the shelter. Well, no, he visits the shelter regularly, actually, but he became part of my family. And it wasn't even me. It was my sister. My sister was like, he is not going back. I'm adopting him. I was like, okay, let me ask. And luckily we were able to get him to join our family, and he's been there, and we love him to death.
And we're going to wrap up. Traceley Bootle and Flora Beal from Animal Services. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And folks, thank you for joining us. Remember, adopt a pet, take care of your pets, and make sure that you take care of them all the time. Tommy, thank you for producing the show. And folks, we appreciate your time again. Have a great weekend.